So we'll begin now. So hello everyone, welcome back. I'm glad seeing you all here today. And this is our last week of the Gita reading series. And today we'll be discussing the chapter 17. So as you all know, my name is Kautuk Kastu. I'm a member of Trans Dimensions Student Club of ISC Bangalore. And I would like to thank you everyone for taking your time to pause and reflect together. But before we move into today's theme, let's briefly reflect on what we have learned in the last week. We discovered the importance of self awareness, humility, and seeing the super soul in everyone. We learned that modes of nature shape our moods, and actions. We reflected that this world is a perverted banyan tree and that we struggle only because we try to enjoy independently of Krishna. And in our last session, we saw how divine qualities of scriptural guidance align our lives with Krishna centered growth, while pride and anger pulls us away. Now, let me ask you a question. What constitutes a first class life? Is it good fame, wealth, or something else? You can answer in the chat box with one word. What constitutes a good life? Okay, so Kaushik says peace and happiness. Okay, so the question will be how will you achieve peace or happiness? Anyone else? What constitutes a first class life? Fame, wealth, power, something else? Okay, so in my opinion, it is faith. By upgrading our faith, we can have a first class life. But the follow up question would be how faith can lead us to our first class life. So to get that answer, we'll move into chapter 17 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And the theme for today's session is leading first class life. In this chapter, Lord Krishna explains how faith quietly shapes the quality of our life. So if you are ready to reflect sincerely and engage with today's discussion, please give a thumbs up in the chat. Amazing. So with that intention, it is my great pleasure to invite our esteemed speaker of the series, Sri Vigrah Prabhu from ISKCON Bangalore, to kindly take over and guide us. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna Kautuk. Happy to be with all of you again for this session. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So today we are going to discuss the penultimate chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the 17th chapter, the divisions of faith, Shraddha Traya Vibhaga Yogaha. In this chapter, Lord Krishna describes the three kinds of faith based on the influence of the three gunas. It is faith which actually shapes our choices. So the first point in this chapter, Krishna says, your faith shapes your choices. So nourish it with habits that bring you closer to Krishna. So far, through so many instructions from the Bhagavad Gita, we have understood that we are not our bodies, we are spirit soul, and Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. He is the supreme personality, and we are also personalities eternally. And human life is actually meant for developing or reviving our personal relationship with Krishna. So, we need to do those things which will help us to develop our personal relationship with Krishna. We have to uh, do things which will bring us closer to Krishna. That is what we are supposed to be doing in the human form of life. So, what kind of choices we are going to take in our life, that is going to lead, those choices will lead us to a particular destination or destiny. And these choices are shaped by our faith. What kind of faith we have. That is why in this chapter, in the 18th chapter, that is final chapter, Krishna is going to talk about what you must do finally to Arjuna. After instructing everything, Krishna says, you surrender to me. But then Krishna says, the choice is yours. So before giving that ultimate opportunity for all of us to choose, Krishna is describing in this 17th chapter that faith is going to shape your choice. So better have first class faith. See, if you want to lead a first class life, you must have first class faith. So, what is the meaning of that first class faith? This we have already understood in the previous chapter towards the end. If we have to have first class faith, our actions must be based on the directions given in the manual of our life, that is the scriptures. So, when we make choices based on the scriptural injunctions, then it is called a first class life, a perfect life. In this chapter, Lord Krishna talks about three kinds of faith that people generally have in this world. So he says, those whose faith is sattvic in the mode of sattva guna, they generally worship devatas, and those who are in the mode of passion, they worship some demons, some powerful personalities. We also see here many times a lot of people glorifying politicians or having big cutouts of them and pouring milk on their cutouts, worshipping them literally so that they get their favor, they get their things done. So any powerful person in this world, lot of followers, fan following will be there. So those who are admiring a leader who is very powerful and considering them to be the one who is going to solve all their problems and literally worship them, their faith in them, that is actually called as Rajasic faith. And those who are in the mode of ignorance, Tamasic, they worship ghosts and spirits. They worship dark energy. You know, they have their own methods of, so-called black magic or something like that. And also, sometimes people, in the name of tapasya, they torture their bodies. Many times we might have seen people piercing their bodies with sharp needles, thinking that if I do this, God will be pleased with me. That is an example for tamasic austerity, tamasic faith. So, rajasic faith, tamasic faith, and sattvic faith. So, sattvic faith is better than the remaining two because sattvic faith is based on proper understanding. Those who worship the devatas, they're actually categorized as sattvic. Why? Because they know that devatas are powerful personalities. They are empowered by the Supreme, and the devatas are capable of bestowing certain benedictions. But then, as we have already discussed in the seventh chapter, even worshipping devatas is not the supreme, because devatas are limited. Their powers are coming from the Supreme Lord Krishna. Therefore, Lord Krishna says, Sattvic faith is good, but why don't you come to the platform of spiritual goodness? What is that? Spiritual, transcendental faith. That is Krishna consciousness. So, worshipping the Supreme Lord Krishna or Vishnu, that is something which can elevate us altogether out of this material existence. So our faith shape shapes our choices. So we should make the right choices. For that, we need to have proper understanding and based on that, make choices. So therefore, let us do those activities which will bring us closer to Krishna. It is just like, suppose if you are using Instagram, your Instagram feed will keep showing those reels which you watch repeatedly. Suppose you're watching reels on fitness, in your feed you keep getting fitness content. If you watch gossip, you will keep getting gossip. Similarly, in our lives, what we repeatedly hear about, what we repeatedly associate with, whom we associate with, our internal algorithm also keeps suggesting similar thoughts, similar actions. Therefore, the scriptures recommend that let us hear about Krishna, let us associate with devotees, let us engage in spiritual activities connected with Lord Krishna. Then it becomes easier for us to think about Him. It becomes easier for us to come closer to Krishna and thus achieve the purpose of human life. Let us go to the second point. Here it is said, food, discipline, speech influence your mindset and spiritual focus. So in the this chapter, Lord Krishna talks about sattvic food, rajasic food, tamasic food. Sattvic food is that which actually helps you have good bodily fitness plus mental serenity. The food that we eat not only nourishes our body, it also affects our mindset, our thought process, our consciousness. In fact, there have been a lot of research works conducted which talk about food mood relationships. If somebody is uh, having a very bad temper, one of the possible reasons is such a person might be eating a lot of spicy food. So there is a relationship between food and mood. And the Bhagavad Gita has already spoken about it thousands of years ago. So, what kind of food we are eating? There is a saying, right? You are what you eat. So, what kind of food we eat, that is going to influence our mindset. So, it is recommended that we eat sattvic food. Sattvic food, uh, that is, you know, vegetables, fruits, milk, right? Freshly prepared food, grains, dal, all these come under sattvic food. Of course, there are exceptions. Among vegetables, there is onion and garlic, which actually comes under rajasic and tamasic food. It is not sattvic. It's because of the effect that it produces in our consciousness. But in fact, sattvic food is good, but better than sattvic food is, as we have already discussed, food that is offered to the Lord in devotion. That is called prasadam. Prasadam is super sattvic because when you take prasadam, the food that is offered to the Lord, our consciousness becomes conducive for practice of bhakti. Bhakti pro thoughts will come in our mind when we take only prasadam. So that's why it is said, you are what you eat. So if we eat prasadam, which is prepared by the devotees with love and devotion and offered to the Lord, then it will help us to become more God conscious. So we should also lead a disciplined life, as we have already discussed about the importance of having a fixed routine, disciplined sadhana. Like we say that you need to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra a fixed number of times every day. No matter what the situation, you must follow the routine that every day, this many times at least, I will chant the Lord's names because it helps us to fix our mind in a proper, determined way in bhakti. Otherwise, we simply go by our mood. Today I'm in a good mood, so let me chant more. Oh, today I'm not in a very good mood. I'm in a bad mood, so I cannot chant. No, in this way we cannot make spiritual progress. Therefore, a fixed, disciplined sadhana routine is very much required. That influences our mindset. In fact, if you follow this spiritual routine of everyday chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, hearing about Krishna from devotees, and also taking Krishna Prasadam, if you do this every day regularly, you will yourself experience that you become free from so much of negativity. So many negative thoughts will go away. In fact, even habits and addictions you can easily get out of. So, therefore, this discipline is so important. And then Krishna also talks about speech. What kind of talk we are hearing, what kind of talk we are doing, that also influences our mindset and spiritual focus. So, hearing from the right source, there is a principle, right? GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So, if we are feeding garbage into our mind body system, what you can expect output also will be garbage only. So, therefore, it's important that we pay attention not only to the food that we feed to our belly, but food that we are feeding to our mind and intellect. That is also shaping our mindset, our consciousness, our focus. So, we should be careful about it. So, human life means leading a responsible life. Everything should be very consciously chosen. What kind of food, what kind of routine I'm following, what kind of speech I'm hearing, or how am I speaking to others. All these are very, very important. So, a devotee means he is very disciplined in all of these aspects of life. Let's go to the third point. In this chapter, Krishna talks about interesting austerity of body, mind, and speech, and he says these are very essential. As we have discussed, austerity means tapasya. What is the meaning of austerity? Voluntarily accepting some inconvenience for spiritual advancement. That is called austerity. Now, we also take austerities for our career, for our material progress, isn't it? For example, a student studies, even though it is inconvenient, he studies for 5 or 6 or 7 hours. The moment he knows that he has to write a very tough exam, next 1 week time is left. So he forgoes all his luxuries. He forgoes, playing video games or watching movies. He forgoes all that and dedicates a good amount of time to study because he knows that it is important. So, since it is important to study the exam and do well, study for the exam and do well in the exam, so he takes up some voluntarily, he takes up some inconvenience. Studying for so long is inconvenient, but still he takes up. This is an example for tapasya. But the tapasya that is recommended in the scriptures is for the purpose of spiritual advancement. Any activity can be performed using these three: body, mind, and speech. Kaya, Vacha, Manasa. These are called three karana. Karana means instruments. Three instruments that are employed in executing any kind of work. These are the three things, right? Body. We do any work either physically or mentally through thoughts or verbally through our speech. And Krishna says it is important to know self restraint, to practice self restraint on all these three levels: physical level, mental level, and verbal level. So, what is that? Let us see. Krishna is describing in this chapter what are the austerities of the body, mind, and speech. I'll just read three shlokas and quickly understand the meaning we will discuss. In the 14th shloka of this chapter, Krishna says, Deva Dvija Guru Prajna Pujanam Shauchamarjavam Brahmacharyam Ahimsa Cha Shariram Tapa Uchyate. The tapas of the Sharira, the bodily austerity. What is that? Worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and superiors like the father and mother. Cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, brahmacharya, and non-violence. These are also austerities of the body. So we have to bow down in front of the Supreme Lord, in front of the devotees. Here, Brahmanas refer to one who is fixed in spiritual knowledge. Not simply by birth, somebody can become a Brahmana. One who is fixed in spiritual knowledge is called Brahmana. When you see a knowledgeable person, you need to bow down. That is a practice of humility. And then, Guru, spiritual master, we need to bow down. And we need to bow down in front of our superiors, like our parents. Now, these are actually austerity of the body. Maintaining cleanliness, being simple, simple living and high thinking, and practice of brahmacharya, celibacy, very important, and ahimsa. These are actually the austerities of the body, which is recommended for everybody. Now, Krishna talks about in the next shloka austerity of speech. Anudvegakaram vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva vanmayam tapa uchyate. Austerity of speech consists in speaking truthfully and beneficially and avoiding speech that offends. One should also recite the Vedas regularly. So, what is the right way to use our speech? Right? What is that? If you want to attain control over your speech, many times we speak something and regret later. Many times we have a loose tongue. Loose tongue leads to a lot of negative consequences, especially in relationships. We must know how much to speak, when to speak, and what to speak. Now, Krishna says if you want to have control over your speech, then this is the protocol you have to follow. Always speak in a way that does not offend others. It does not agitate the minds of the listeners. Secondly, stick to the truth. Thirdly, speak that which is beneficial for the others. And also, most importantly, use your power of speech to recite the scriptures, to chant the holy names of the Lord. In this way, if you practice, you will have a hold on your speech. Your speech will be purified. That is the tapasya of the speech. So that's why we recommend we have to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day. By chanting, what happens? We are using our tongue. to glorify the Lord, to connect with the Lord. Prabhupada said, our Krishna consciousness process is nothing but tongue training program, TTM, tongue training program. Tongue has got two businesses. One is to talk, the second one is to uh, taste varieties of foodstuffs. Now, in Krishna consciousness, we do both of these in service of the Lord. What is that? By tongue, we chant Hare Krishna, and using our tongue, we taste Krishna Prasadam. By doing just these two activities, we can attain control over our tongue, and other senses will also come under control. So, therefore, we should practice this austerity of speech. And then, austerity of the mind. Krishna says, Manah prasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigraha bhava samshuddhirityeta tapo manasa muchyate. Serenity, simplicity, gravity, self control, and purity of thought. These are the austerities of the mind. So, how to purify our mind? If you want to attain purification of mind, we need, first of all, uh, saumyatvam. That means we should be simple. We should not have duplicitous thinking. With one person, I'll speak in one way, with another person, I will manipulate and speak in another way. This kind of duplicity is not good for a person who wants to be peaceful and have a peaceful mind. And one should also exercise, one should be satisfied with what one has. Too much hankering after material things will lead to loss of peace of mind, isn't it? Mind becomes very agitated. If you're always chasing behind, if you are never satisfied with what you have, then you can never be peaceful. So if you want to attain a peaceful mind, Krishna says serenity, manah prasadaha. Be satisfied with what you have first. And then, of course, connecting with Krishna. Always, if you become Krishna conscious, then our mind can become purified. So at least some part of the day we should spend thinking about Krishna, hearing about Krishna, associating with Krishna's devotees. That will also help us to purify our mind. So these are the austerities of the body, mind, and speech. These are absolutely essential for anyone who wants to lead a first class life. First class life is not got by living in high rise buildings, having a big fat salary, drawing a good salary or big bank balance. Now, these are all not the measures of a good quality life. Krishna is saying, if you have body, mind, and speech in your control, that is first class life. Now, the last point, let us move to the fourth point. So, we have to abide by the scriptures. Then we can actually attain perfection. Whatever we do, we should consult with the scriptures. And we should not do anything whimsically. Just because I like it, I will do. Just because I don't like it, I will reject it. That should not be the attitude. What Krishna says about this in the Bhagavad Gita, let us see that. We should have this mentality. That is the meaning of following Bhagavad Gita. Studying Bhagavad Gita is not just a scholarly work. Okay, I read one book. Like I have read so many books, Bhagavad Gita is also one such book. So I have completed reading all the 700 shlokas, 18 chapters. So now I know what is there in Bhagavad Gita. So what? Not just knowing, it has to be practiced. So in every aspect of our life, whether I am abiding by Krishna's instructions or not, am I acting according to Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita or not? This should always be in the back of our mind. We should be conscious of this always. So, in this way, if we act, then we can attain perfection. In fact, Bhagavad Gita is the manual of our life. We need to lead our life, operate our life based on the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita. So it is not just a uh, scholarly work to study Bhagavad Gita and keep quiet. You have to apply it, and for that we must first of all know the theory. We should also learn how to apply it by uh, understanding. So, in this Gita summary series, we are also talking about applications, so many applications of the Bhagavad Gita principles we have been discussing in every session, and we should apply it. Then we will see our life is moving towards the desired perfection, which keeps us, which fulfills the mission of human life. So now let us chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for 1 minute together. And as we said, this is the austerity of speech, to chant the holy name of the Lord. It is also the austerity of the mind because we are associating with the Lord. It purifies our mind, our thoughts also. So for 1 minute, we will chant. First, we chant the invocation prayer. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare 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 Hare, Ram, Hare Hare. So please chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day. It's the easiest way to stay pure and to associate with the Supreme Lord Krishna. So now we will move on to the next part. Tomorrow we are going to cover the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the finale, 18th chapter, and we are going to talk about why and the how of surrender. What is meant by surrender? Because ultimate instruction of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita in the 18th chapter is that only surrender to me. So we'll understand why to surrender and what is the meaning of surrender and how to surrender. We will talk about this in the tomorrow's session, which will be the last session in this series, Gita Summary series. Now we move on to Q&A. If anyone has any comments, any questions, please let me know. This Gita Summary series is an attempt to at least familiarize the participants with what are the concepts that are described in the Bhagavad Gita in each of the chapters. Generally, we know Bhagavad Gita is some religious book. That is what people think. Bhagavad Gita is more than a religious book. As I mentioned, it is a manual of human life. It's a manual for human life. So each chapter has got a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge which relates with our day-to-day life, which relates with uh, each one of us, how to handle our thoughts, how to lead, how to handle our, how to work in a way that we don't get uh, entangled, how to use this human form of life properly. So all this knowledge is very nicely within 700 shlokas, it is completely given to us. It is like a essence. It is like a Bhagavad Gita is like a short course of the entire Vedic knowledge. So therefore, this series was an attempt to familiarize all of you with the basic concepts in each of these chapters. And of course, I recommend you to please study the book Bhagavad Gita as it is to understand deeper concepts, to understand more about each of these chapters of Bhagavad Gita. So Ankit has raised his hand. Yes, Ankit. Ankit, please unmute
I think
yourself.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I think he's typing, so just to indicate
Oh,
he raised his hand.
ach- okay, okay. So you can type your question or you can also unmute yourself and ask if you have any questions or if you have any comments also. You can voice them or you can text them.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Ankit has asked a question.
Okay.
So Ankit asked, Hare Krishna Prabhu, what is difference between austerity of mind and speech? Aren't they
Hmm.
same?
No, mind is all about thoughts. So we can say speech, one step before speech is what happens in our mind. So first is mind, we think, and then it is expressed verbally as speech, or it is expressed as an action through the body. So the root cause of both speech and actions is our thoughts, isn't it? So the mind level action is called thinking. Okay. Verbal action is speech, and physical action we know work. So that is one of the wonderful things in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita doesn't say only physical labor is work or physical action is work. Your thought is also a work. Your speech is also a work. It is also action. So both are different. It's not the same. Austerity of mind is what? Serenity, simplicity, gravity, self-control. These are the things we talked about. That is austerity of mind. Serenity means being satisfied with what you already have. Trying to, you know, nowadays people talk about minimalistic lifestyle, possess less, like that. Less is more, they say, right? That is actually an example for austerity of mind. Though the concept is nice, but the purpose for which it is applied, that is not very wonderful or that's not very nice. You know, they say that we should possess less so that we can just be it is easier for us to clean the house. Let's say we possess more articles at home. Now, this is one of the examples. I'm just saying. If you have more things at home, it becomes very difficult to clean our house or to maintain things, etc., etc. That means it is a convenience point of view. They say possessing too many things is inconvenient. Therefore, let us possess less. Or somebody may say, let us possess only what is required for us. Extra balance, we will give it to the needy people, which is also a very nice concept. But what Bhagavad Gita says, why we should be minimalistic in our possessions, is because the more we possess, the more we falsely can think that I am the proprietor, the more we can falsely think that, see, all these possessions give me happiness, which is actually false. That means the purpose is detachment from material possessions. This is not helping us to possessing more things will not help us to develop detachment. So therefore, Bhagavad Gita says, be satisfied with what is provided to you by the arrangement of the Lord. That is an example for austerity of the mind. Now, austerity of speech is different, right? We discussed how to use our speech. Don't speak in a way which agitates the listener's mind. When we speak something, it has an effect on the other person, isn't it? So before you talk, think. You remember that there is something called Socrates triple filter test. Socrates said, what you are speaking about anything, is it useful? Is it good? And is it truthful? These are the three filters, he said. Before you do any speech, before you talk anything to anybody, your content should pass through these three filters, three tests. Okay, it is not or, it is and logic. It's not or logic. It should be truthful, it should be useful to the listener, and it should be, what is the third one? What did I say just now? Truthfulness, usefulness, and the third one is good. Yeah. Is it good? Are you speaking good about the other person? So if your content is passing through all the three successfully, three filters, then he said you open your mouth and speak. Otherwise, don't speak. So in that way, yes, it is connected with austerity of mind. That means you should not get carried away by the urge to speak anything and everything. So if there is no austerity of mind, austerity of speech and austerity of body also cannot happen. All the three are interconnected, of course. So but there is a subtle difference between the two, as I explained. Hope that answers your question. Is there any other question or
Uh,
comment?
yes, Prabhu. Kausik asked, Hare Krishna,
Yeah.
Prabhu. Which is the easiest to control among mind,
Hmm,
speech, and body? Where should we start?
hmm. Okay. Now we should start with the mind. That is what all the schools of yoga teach us. That is what Bhagavatam is teaching us. That is what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. We should start with the mind. Because if mind is your friend, then it is easy to conquer the body, easy to conquer the speech also. Mind is the software. Mind is the origin of both our speech and our bodily actions. Now, generally we think controlling the mind is very difficult. Controlling the mind is very difficult because we are letting in so many negative or dirty inputs into the mind. That is why it becomes difficult to control the mind. A pure mind is easier to control. A impure mind, on the contrary, is very agitated. It's not easy to control. That is why it is said, first thing you should do is fix your mind on Krishna. This point Krishna himself mentions at least two times in the Bhagavad Gita. Man mana, think of me. Fix your mind on me. So what is the meaning of fixing mind on Krishna? In Bhagavatam also we find in the history of one great devotee emperor, Maharaj Ambarish. He began his bhakti with this point, process only. Savai mana Krishna padara vindayo. The mind he fixed on the lotus feet of Krishna. And then the other senses followed, because mind is the leader of all the other senses. Where the leader goes, the followers also go there. Our senses, if you notice, they simply get driven by or they get influenced by what thought is dominant in your mind. Suppose if you're thinking about food, then your tongue will start watering, isn't it? So, what does it mean? Tongue is following the thoughts of the mind, isn't it? That means the senses follow their leader, mind. So, uh, first process is to control the mind. In the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, also, the definition of yoga itself is based on mind control. Patanjali Rishi defines yoga as yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Chitta vritti means controlling the activities of the mind. That is actually called yoga, controlling mind. So there's no question of any yoga practice success without mind control and sense control. And that is very much true even in Bhakti Yoga. So, what we do in Bhakti Yoga, we don't try to forcibly control the mind and senses by the negative process of suppressing the thoughts, suppressing the urges of the mind. It won't work. What we do is we divert the mind and the sensory activities towards Krishna. Krishna is the supreme uh, source of pleasure. Okay, he's called Govinda. Govinda means he gives pleasure to the senses and to the mind. So if our mind and senses are yoked to Krishna conscious activities, then what happens? The senses and the mind experience pleasure. They experience higher taste, pleasure of a different kind. So, for example, if we always cultivate the habit of reading every day at least one page of Bhagavad Gita, what happens? You're giving mind an opportunity to associate with the thoughts given to us by Krishna, and that purifies our mind. Okay. Uh, Physical engagement also. Like, for example, you come to the temple and participate in the arati. What happens in the arati? There is multi-sensory experience there. You see in the Lord so beautifully decorated by the devotees. So your sense of seeing is engaged. Then you hear the melodious kirtan sung by the Lord. Your sense of hearing is also engaged. Then devotees also sing and dance. So their sense of speech and their bodily actions are also engaged. So if all in this way, if all these senses and mind are engaged in Krishna's service, then we experience what is called higher taste. And as Krishna says in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, when we experience a higher taste, the lower taste will fade away. You don't have to put extra efforts to get the lower taste away. You simply give engagement in such a way that the senses and mind experience higher taste. That is our Krishna consciousness program. That is what Srila Prabhupada said. As I said, TTM, no? Tongue training program. You simply engage the tongue in chanting Hare Krishna mantra, in tasting Krishna prasadam. Just by doing this, you can bring your senses and mind under control, Prabhupada said. There are many other processes like Hatha Yoga or some other process, which is actually not recommended for Kali Yuga. It is not practical. There, there is an attempt made to quieten the senses. So, for example, they say you do Mauna Vrata. Next 4 days, 5 days, you should not speak to anybody. Okay. Now that's not easy. Lot of thoughts bombarding in the mind. They want to vent. The thoughts want to be vented out through speech, but you are forcibly keeping the power of speech shut. Then what happens? One fine day, there's an explosion, pressure cooker effect. Lot of pressure is building, and it is not vented out. So one day it'll explode. So this kind of suppressing the thoughts, suppressing the sensual activities, it is not very practical. The sensual activities and the thoughts have to be given proper engagement. That is why Bhakti Yoga is most practical, most recommended. So we should start with the mind. The best way to engage our mind is to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And that's why we say chanting is not a mindless activity. It's not a mindless repetition of some mantra, some sound. You have to mindfully chant. Chant and hear, chant and hear. Don't let any word of the mantra just pass by without hearing. When you hear what happens, mind will be drawn towards the sound. So therefore we should hear, make an attempt. Every mantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Every word of the mantra, make an attempt to hear attentively. Hear attentively. Attention is the energy of the mind, ultimately of the soul. So you have to invest the attention energy in the hearing of the Hare Krishna mantra. That will purify our mind, our senses, our entire existence. Yes, so starting point is mind. Hope that answers your question. So, any other question?
Yes, we have another question from Ankit. He
Okay.
asked, Hare Krishna Prabhu, how will controlling mind help if I am feeling restless, lonely, or depressed? Will
Mm.
fate help me if I'm not able to control my mind?
Yeah. Actually, you're feeling restless, depressed because you're not controlled your mind. We all feel this, some lowliness. We feel low. We feel restless. These are all the agitations of the mind. Okay. So we have let loose the mind, do whatever you want. And the mind's nature is chanchala. It keeps going from one thing to another thing. I want to pay my attention to everything that is there, some necessary, some unnecessary, many unnecessary things. So this is what so when unnecessary things the mind starts involving in, the result is this feeling low, negative, because mind is picking up negative energies from various places and it is depositing in your subtle body and you're not knowing it also. Even if you're knowing, you're not doing anything about it. And that is and the result of you know this deposition of negative energy from everywhere. It's just like, for example, there is some, let's say there is a child in your house, very small child. It goes to the street, and all the garbage that is there in the street, the child will bring it and put it inside your house in your living room. How will you feel? The entire road's garbage is inside your house. The child's nature is, child is so active. Child wants to keep doing something. So a child is going out of the house and picking so much garbage and all that, putting inside the house. This is exactly what the mind is doing. Huh? So mind is very active. It wants to keep going from Australia to America to Europe. World trip it is going. And it is picking it's not simply going like that. It's picking all so much rubbish, garbage, and it is coming back and depositing in you. It is creating a burden. It is creating negativity. It is making the system hang, not able to pay attention to what is required. Huh? So therefore, first thing that you should do is engage the child in a proper constructive work. If you simply tell child, don't do this, don't bring the rubbish from the street, no, the child will not listen. The child has got so much energy. The child wants some nice engagement. Now you're not given any nice engagement, so it's creating so much ruckus. So you give engagement, no, to the child. You do some productive, some engage the child in some play, in some where it can learn something. You know, in the same way, the mind is also like that. Naughty child. If you don't train it, it will keep bringing so much garbage, depositing in your system. Result is depression because so much negative energy. garbage coming, lowliness, whatever you said, all those things. So therefore, the solution, only when you control your mind. Controlling mind, as I said, not the traditional understanding of controlling means suppressing. No, not that. Controlling means engaging the mind. Engaging the mind in positive, high energy, constructive energy building process. So that Hare Krishna Mahamantra, no, if you read the Shikshashtakam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals, Nam Akari Bahudha Nija Sarva Shakti Tatrarpitani Amita Smaranena Kalaha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals that Krishna has got unlimited names, and in each of his names, Krishna has invested all his multi potencies, his multi energies, positive spiritual energies. We are actually belonging to a spiritual energy category. The soul is actually of the nature of spiritual energy. Only when we are in touch with spiritual energy, we can function well. So, because we have now disconnected from the spiritual energy, we have become overpowered by the lower energy, material energy, which is binding us, which is controlling us, which is choking our freedom. So, when you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you're letting your mind, your intellect, your self, the soul, again come in touch with the spiritual energy, which is liberating, which is purifying. And in this way, the restless mind, finds its purpose. So controlling the mind is absolutely necessary, but it is not called suppressing the thoughts, but it is called connecting to a higher purpose. Krishna is that higher purpose for all of us that we have to realize. If you sincerely study Bhagavad Gita, you will realize that. If you have your own concocted ideas of Bhagavad Gita, you will never realize this. There are a lot of people who have great Sanskrit scholars who have studied Bhagavad Gita 1,000 times. They have even explained, they have even written commentaries, but they fail to realize that I have to fix my mind on Krishna. Therefore, their study of Bhagavad Gita is useless because they are speculating. Prabhupada gives an example for this. Those who speculate Bhagavad Gita and try to understand it are like those people who try to enjoy the taste of honey by licking the honey bottle from outside. So if you have a honey bottle, it is transparent bottle, you're able to see there is honey inside. But instead of opening the lid and pouring the honey on your tongue and tasting it, you're trying to lick the bottle from outside. Will you ever be able to taste the honey that way? No, you will only get frustration. So similarly, those who try to speculate what Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, so they think they're smart enough to interpret what Krishna is saying. They think that Krishna's words have to be understood through their intellect. That means they are saying that I'm more intelligent than Krishna. Such people, if you study such commentaries, it is as useless as trying to taste the honey by licking the bottle from outside. No use. That's why we have to study Bhagavad Gita commentaries written by bona fide acharyas. Because they have not just understood the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, they have actually lived the Bhagavad Gita. They have realized each and every word of Bhagavad Gita. They know the mind of Krishna, the speaker of Bhagavad Gita, because they have a confidential relationship with Krishna. So the commentaries written by such bona fide acharyas, if you study, then you will get access to the real nectar of Bhagavad Gita. Because the commentaries of pure devotees will open up the bottle of honey, the nectar, sweet nectar of the words of Krishna contained in these shlokas. So Srila Prabhupada is one such bona fide acharya. He has not speculated. He has just given us the knowledge as it is, received from the bona fide Guru Shishya Parampara system. So we have to understand it in that way. And there Prabhupada is saying Mind control is mandatory for those who want to forget about even attaining Krishna consciousness. Even if you want to lead a peaceful life materially, mind control is absolutely necessary. You cannot allow the mind to go and pick all the rubbish of the world, deposit in your system, and still think that I'll be happy, I'll be peaceful. No. So, this garbage picking activity of the mind, if it has to stop, then you have to give positive habits, spiritual habits, engagements for the mind. You have to task the mind. Either the mind will go and pick garbage if you don't task it, or you give the task. Let us study one chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day, or one shloka every day. Let us meditate on it. Let us understand. Let us go and discuss with somebody who knows Bhagavad Gita. Let me chant Hare Krishna mantra nicely, attentively. Let me go to the temple, have darshan of the Lord. So give. These are the higher taste giving activities. So engage the mind in these activities. Then automatically the mind will listen to you. The mind will feel satisfied. Mind cannot feel satisfaction even though it picks garbage from unlimited places all over the world. We think like that, no? Oh, if I read so many books, or if I know everything, if I indulge in all activities, it, I'll be satisfied. No, mind can be satisfied only when the mind is fixed on Krishna. This we have to realize. This is what Bhagavad Gita is revealing. That is why it is called confidential knowledge. It is printed in white and black, but not known by everybody. So Prabhupada is revealing confidential knowledge. So we have to understand, apply, fix mind on Krishna, then all your mind problems will be solved. Okay, so with this we come to the end. Is there anything else, Kautuk?
No, Prabhu. That was all.
Okay, thank you very much, all of you. Once again, wonderful questions today. So tomorrow will be the last session in this series. So please do come, and it will be good if everybody who attended the first, from the first session till today, if everybody who attended, if they're all invited for tomorrow's session, grand finale, it will be very nice. So I request all the core members to please try to call up or try to send a message across to everybody, invite them for tomorrow's session. Thank you very much. We'll meet again tomorrow. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, विश्व गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you to everyone for staying till the very end. We'll meet again tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Hare Krishna.